3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Hello and welcome back to a very special soccer edition of the Texas Private School Podcast. I, as always, am one-third of your hosting crew, Wes Tolleson. Ryan Schroeder and Walker Lott will not be joining us this episode. They are out enjoying their Sunday. You will see them hopefully soon in a coming episode. But instead, I'm joined here today by Andrew, Lewis, and Kenneth, the guys that make up Texas Private School Soccer. Guys, how's it going? Andrew, I'll point it to you first. An interesting World Cup Sunday that we're recording on here today. What do you think of the World Cup, and how do you feel about the state of private school soccer?
I would say the World Cup game was awesome. I'm a huge Messi fan, been a fan since I was 5. Watching him, I think he put up 2 goals, was amazing. I will say respect to Mbappe, 2 goals in 2 minutes in the championship of World Cup.
Don't forget his one in overtime.
Yeah, especially going into it. Both teams had a goal in the overtime minutes, especially with the PK shootouts. I thought I love to see Messi finally get that World Cup win. Especially, and that leads to the point of the Texas Private School Soccer. Texas Private School Soccer right now it's very unpredictable. We have a lot of very high quality teams. There's not many middle teams. It's either teams are really good or the teams are really bad. A lot of scores we're seeing are like 6-0 wins, 8-0 wins, stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, the teams who are winning by that much get beat. So it's a pretty crazy world right now for the Texas Private School Soccer.
Definitely so. Lewis, I'll pose you this question. When it's all said and done, just a little icebreaker. When it's all said and done, who do you think is going to have the better career, Mbappe or Messi?
It's a great question. I mean, I'd love to say, but I think Mbappe is capable of having a better career, but I think Messi will probably better. But if Mbappe, he's got what it takes. I'll say that.
Yeah, he certainly. I like how this has just turned into a World Cup podcast for a few minutes, but it's fun to talk about. But yeah, I mean, he's so young. It's just the potential aspect of it. Kenneth, you as well. What are your thoughts on Mbappe versus Messi when it's all said and done?
Well, obviously, right now Messi is the GOAT. He's the best. But I like what I saw from Mbappe today, and the last World Cup too. How he led his team to glory. At such a young age. I think it's hard to tell right now because he's so young. They're so far in age, but I see Mbappe one day getting to that point where he is the best of all time.
It's interesting. It's just a matter of, does he have the consistency and the longevity that Messi has had throughout his career? We know he can be great when he's young, but can he carry this into the mid and late stages of his career? But all that being said, guys, I'm very curious and intrigued as to how y'all got this started, because y'all seem to have a drive and a passion for this kind of thing in the same way that me, Walker, and Ryan did when we started this. So I'll let any of you that want to answer this first. But I mean, how did Texas Private School Soccer begin?
So, I mean, it was our first game of the season. We've seen the Texas Private School football, seen how y'all do predict scores. So we were talking to their team. We're like, oh, we heard that Texas Private School Soccer had y'all losing to us. They were all confused. They didn't know that was a thing. And we're like, what actually becomes a thing? We get rankings going. That'd be kind of cool, right? And then one thing led to another. We started the Instagram accounts. It was really hard to find other soccer players. So we just looked at a bunch of other schools we know of. Went to their athletic pages. Some of them have soccer pages. Just kind of followed them from there. Just kind of took off, I'd say the first day we got about 100 followers. The next we were getting 100 followers, and now we're at a steady pace. It's been going about, I'd say, 2 weeks now. About 2 weeks in, we're up to I would say 440 followers. And we just wanted to bring some awareness into the soccer community, because there's not a max preps for soccer like there is for football. There's not a place where you can go see the score, see where the other team's doing, just kind of hear about it from other people. We wanted to create a place where you could see where the actual scores are, what teams think their rankings are, and the Texas Private School Soccer players across the state just ate it up. They loved it. We're probably getting 10 DMs a day telling us their scores, telling us their stats. I mean, it's crazy. I love it. It's awesome. It's so much fun.
That's awesome, man. Y'all definitely saw an opportunity that was there for these kids to get more exposure, and y'all exploited it, and it's fantastic. It's the same thing that we like to do as well. Lewis, you have any insights of your own on the starting of private school soccer?
Well, I just think we started it kind of. We didn't expect growth that it's had. We didn't realize the amount of people that would really like tap into this way. There's been a lot of people reaching us, just interacting with our content that we didn't think we would have. We thought, maybe 100 people would care, but we're getting lots of people daily just coming to us and giving us what they have.
100%.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, Kenneth, do you have any insights of your own?
Well, I'll be honest. Andrew, texted me one day, says, "Hey, we're starting a soccer podcast. You want to be on it?" And I was like, you know what? Why not? And so I saw an opportunity, tried to seize it.
We are from Dallas. We met Kenneth at summer camp, and that's how we know him. Why he lives in Houston and we live in Dallas. So.
No, it's fantastic. That's incredibly interesting. Yeah, I mean, that's super great. Like I said, I remember I was sitting in Walker's apartment one day and we were editing some stuff and watching football. And I pulled up y'all's first one, y'all's Instagram. And I was listening to it and I was just laughing. And I was like, this is exactly what we all did. This is exactly what we all did for football. And it was so cool to see the parallels there. That's when I knew I had to have y'all on, just because I think we think similarly. And it's just cool to have other people that are passionate about, private school sports in Texas. But in terms of the first thing I really want to hammer down and discuss with y'all did preseason rankings, and I'm very curious to have y'all state those, what they were right now in the episode, and then kind of get into where you think all those teams stack up now relative to where y'all put them earlier in the year.
So yeah, I actually have it pulled up right now. So for our D1 district rankings, we had the Village from Houston. They are they're an international school out of Houston. They won state last year with a score of 4-0 in the championship game. We put them at number 1 because, an international school is the other schools. I'm just going to say it. And won state previous year. They seem to have a lot of returning starters, so we put them first. Next, we had Antonian. Antonian was undefeated until they actually lost to – actually, the Antonian actually beat the Village. But there's a team we ranked at 11 called Central Catholic. Going back, I would rank them number 1. They are undefeated with wins over the Village, Antonian, all the top teams we basically put. And then number 3, we have JP2. JP2 again was a semifinalist contender in D1 last year with a lot of returning starters. Number 4 was Prestonwood. I actually would move Prestonwood up to number 2. They have their team is all ECNL club players, like high-level club. They have 2 very good forwards plus a really strong midfield with a very good defense. Number 5, St. Thomas Houston. We put them at number 5 because they have this sophomore. Up until about 2 weeks ago, he was averaging basically 3 goals a game as a sophomore.
My God.
Yeah, he was incredible. So we put them number 5. Number 6, Nolan Catholic. Basically, the only ranking I would really switch from the top 6 is I would move Central Catholic to number 1 and just move everyone else kind of down 1. I ranked Central Catholic at 11. That was a mistake. 7, TCA Addison. TCA Addison's kind of like the midfield of soccer. They're not the best, they're not the worst. They're just kind of in the middle. I think they finished 3rd in their district last year behind Parrish and Bishop Lynch. Then we have Bishop Lynch at 8, Concordia at 9, St. Pius at 10. St. Pius is actually good too. We would move them up a little bit higher looking back on that. Then we have El Paso Cathedral. I don't know anything about them. And we bothered not to even rank Parrish because they haven't won a game and we ran out of space. So
Really? That's interesting. Yeah, I was looking at this list and I was trying. No, go on.
Oh, no, got it.
Oh, I was very interested to see. I was trying to see if there's any correlation between football and soccer here, and there's really not. It might be inverse a little bit because the Village in Houston, they were dead last in our D1 rankings. They finished dead last in football, and I think they had to forfeit. They either had to forfeit or too many guys got hurt or something, but they were just not a good football school at all. But it's interesting because there's not really any rhyme or reason here. It's in terms as it relates to football rankings. But Lewis, you have any thoughts on y'all's current rankings and how they stack up?
Well, yeah, I definitely agree with your point about them kind of being inverse. Except I will say I've looked at the football rankings a little bit, and Prestonwood is they're a pretty good football school, right?
They are. They made the state championship.
They're a very, very solid soccer school as well. So I'd say they're pretty equal, but also, you look at the middle ground teams like TCA Addison and Nolan and Bishop Lynch and all of them. They kind of stay in the middle. It seems they're not, bad, but they're not very good either.
They're all unpredictable.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, soccer's like the sport. The better team will win. it's not football. You can have like a crazy upset. Baseball, basketball upset, soccer. It is really hard to have a big upset just because really good teams are going to score. They're going to do good. They're going to make plays. They're going to score. So the good teams are going to stay the good teams.
That makes sense to me. Yeah, that's a point I've heard a few times. I'm not nearly as familiar with soccer as I am football, obviously, but the more I hear that and the more I see these results of games, the more it makes sense. But now let's talk a little bit about D2, which interests me because D2 is the division that I played in. I went to Grace Community in Tyler, so it's always interesting to see. I see that y'all have Brook Hill ranked above Grace, which I don't appreciate very much, but they do have the boarding school there. It does make a little bit of sense. But y'all can get into y'all's D2 rankings a little bit now.
To be completely honest, we did the rankings based off what people sent us about their scores, their record, whatever. If I rank you at the bottom, it's either because we don't know much about you or we know too much about you. Therefore, that makes sense. For instance, I had seen Grapevine Faith was undefeated, so I don't know much about them, and I know Legacy had a good record. Prince of Peace apparently went down to D3. We were unaware of that. Peace won state for D2 last year. Then for state, good record. Brook Hill, we honestly didn't know. We heard they were international, so we just kind of assumed they'd be. Southwest Christian, not good. I don't know anything about Grace Community. I don't know anything about St. John's. I don't know anything about St. Michael's. All Saints Fort Worth is awful. They are terrible. And I hate to even say this. If you're a Legacy or Liberty Christian fan and you are listening to this, your soccer team is not the best. I mean, that's the reason y'all are 12. I'm sorry, but we've heard that y'all haven't won a game and every loss was at least by 4. Your best loss was a 4-0 loss. So I'm sorry, but that's why we put y'all at 12.
From what I could tell, I don't know how well Grace is doing because, like I said, I follow football a lot more closely. I think that they swept a tournament recently they were in. I might have seen that. I could be wrong. Not 100% sure. But as to Brook Hill, they're not, I don't think, I forget what the exact guidelines are for an international school. But yeah, I went to Brook Hill for like 5 years, but I had, they have a boarding school on campus. So they've traditionally been good at soccer, really good coaching, et cetera. But yeah, that's why they, I guess, would classify as international school.
Again, we get if you guys win for instance, you're listening to this and you guys win like a tournament or something, let us know. We'd love to know that. So we'd love to know y'all's records. Therefore, we can get a more accurate rank going. Like you said, like we recently swept. That's awesome to know. That way we can rank up higher after the post Christmas.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. Kenneth, you have any thoughts on anything that's transpired so far in the episode?
Well, here's what I would say. We're kind of young so far, so the more crowd engagement we get, the easier it is for these rankings to happen. Like these D2 schools, there's a lot of teams that haven't sent us much information yet, so it's just kind of like putting a blindfold on and throwing darts right now. That's how
our rankings are in the preseason. Whenever we don't know anything, or we all we know is what we've seen at 7-on-7 for football and what transfers and stuff guys are saying in the offseason. So what was really funny this year is we made all these preseason predictions within like 3 weeks. All of them were completely wrong. Everyone was chirping us on Twitter. It was really fun. Have y'all gotten anyone that's like been like chirping at y'all on social media yet?
Go look at the comments. I mean, here. EMI should be number 1. It's like, no, yeah, there's just so much random stuff that we don't know. We're not professionals. I think we know about every single their players. And I'm like, we're doing our best. If you don't like it, just tell us like y'all are really good and we'll change it depending on what we see. Right. That
is the really funny thing. You learn as time goes on how to deal with people telling you you're wrong or you don't know anything. Because trust me, you're only going to get that more and more as you keep doing it.
Especially we have dads, messaging us highlights, and we're like, we're not college coaches. I don't know what, it would be awesome if we could get college coaches following us. That'd be great, right? But I don't think we're at that level yet, or do we really plan to be? We're not a recruitment profile. We're just an awareness profile. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's how we started as well. But I guarantee you, in time, if you keep it up, you will get college coaches and things of that nature following you. Because that's what happened to us. Because I remember we saw our first college coach follow us. Like, oh, Why? Why are you doing this? We're three college kids sitting in a dorm room talking about football. And then it just kind of goes further and further. And it's cool. It's cool to see y'all in this stage and just being so passionate about it. It makes me excited for the future of private school sports. I will say this about Grace. I was right. Grace is 4-0-1 on the young season. They beat Bishop Gorham 4-0. They tied Lutheran South. They beat the Woodlands and they beat Lutheran South again, apparently, I guess, in a tournament. And then they beat the Woodlands Christian, I think. Max Preps never makes a whole lot of sense for me with soccer. That all could be completely wrong, but I will always vouch. I will always vouch for Grace.
All right, good to know, man. Thank you for letting, again, thanks for that. Now we know that Grace, we know they're a good team, right? And that's always good to know for the future rankings.
Oh, absolutely.
The Woodlands are bad, but
oh my God,
a lot of
it says they're 3-12-2. Yeah, it's not fantastic.
Hey, that's a lot of games.
That is a lot of games. And again, it's Max Prep Soccer. It could be wrong.
Yeah, that's another thing about that. And then we move on to D3. D3 was a wild card. There's some beef, but yeah. So if you see, we had Colleyville Covenant and Dallas Covenant. I don't know if you were following us this time, but the beef was insane between those two schools. I mean, I was getting their whole team would reply to our stories, basically telling us to come to games, telling us who's the better player, which team. I mean, it was crazy. They were beefing back and forth. Yeah, I made sure to put the replies on my stories to make the other team, get a little chippy. So we're gonna try to go to that game. It's in January, so we might try to pull up to that game. And then the other teams, we had no idea about. I don't know any. I don't know anything about Pantego, Christian, Lubbock, Trinity. I didn't know. Yeah, Holy Cross. We don't know anything about them. So that was a wild card.
So are y'all just in the process of kind of figuring out where all these schools are, because when you're in high school, the schools that are in your district, and then outside of that it starts to get murky. That's what it was for me. I knew some of the other teams in our division, but teams in D3, D4, I had no idea about until I started the podcast. Are y'all kind of in the process of really figuring out the names of these teams and where they are and stuff?
Yeah, for sure. One thing we do to try to get these other teams is we go I look up the team that school's Instagram page, try to see if they have an athletic page, then some soccer accounts, and then I try to follow the soccer players. Yeah. So they can see the stories and DM me their scores. But a lot of these teams they don't have. I can't find any soccer stuff about them. So I don't even know if they have teams, because I know some schools don't have teams. We're trying to do SPC rankings too, but I don't even think there's a lot of teams I don't even know if they have teams, and I rank them. And some kids say they don't have a team, and other kids tell me their record, so it's really confusing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it is always very interesting when you're first getting started, because you have to you have to be the ones that organize everything, and it's kind of a bunch of chaos. But that's funny to hear. Kenneth, were you saying something?
Oh, I don't think so.
My bad. You have anything to comment on y'all's D3 or D2 rankings?
Well, I mean, D3's been hard. I'm kind of familiar a little bit with some of those teams, but I mean, it's just, Max Preps doesn't help us very much. There's not a lot on soccer, even at the highest levels like D1. There's not much on Max Preps about the soccer teams. So it's just hard, when you don't know much to, know a lot. You try to inform the public, but you don't have enough.
Well, I think y'all are doing the best job y'all can, provided the resources y'all are given. I actually just went to Dallas Christian's Max Prep Soccer page, try to get some info on them. And it took me to 2015 and 16 season. And I was like, that's not going to help me a whole lot. So that's kind of Max Prep Soccer in a microcosm.
I will say this. I have seen Dallas Soccer. I must say they have one of the funniest Instagram pages I've ever seen. With what's Cole Burke.
Cole Burke.
I saw you tagged me in one of his posts or whatever. I think that's the stuff we love, is these teams who they're not all soccer players. They just make it fun and have a good time with their page, and just tell me they're going to win state this year. We love that mentality. And because the thing about private school soccer is you don't have to, especially depending on the range of schools you're at. I mean, some schools you got to be top level club. Other schools, they just trying to find players to play, right? And we love to see kids who don't usually play soccer who are out there just having fun, competing.
Yeah, definitely. So Cole Burke is one of the funniest human beings I've ever been around. I did a post game interview with him and someone else after the DC football
Oh,
game, and it's
I
still one of
saw
the
that.
fun.
I saw
Really?
that.
Did y'all see the
Yeah.
Cheez-Its thing at the end? Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. They're hilarious, dude. It's funny, but yeah, is DC not very good at soccer? Is it just kind of a
Uh,
big troll job?
we don't know. I see what I see is like memes of them. It's like I don't know if it's like not even their team. I don't think they're very good based off what I've seen, but who knows? They might have won a game or two. We'll see as the season goes on. Once playoffs happen, we'll see if they're going to go to the state like they told me.
Definitely so. Hang on. I saw what was one of these posts? Where is it? It's a kid. It's new transfer to DC soccer,
Oh,
Messi's third cousin, Jackson Tucker, straight from Argentina. Yeah, it's that stuff that's just hilarious to me. Hey, maybe it is Messi's third cousin.
You never know.
Yep.
Never know.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so is there any other, because I think that wraps up the rankings that y'all posted preseason. Is there anything else y'all want to talk about?
we'll talk about some of like the players. We don't. That's basically all we got about the teams. Of course, there's the SBC level. We don't know a whole lot. We know the top three, but that's basically it.
So let me pose this question to you, and I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but from what you know right now, who do you think has the best chance to be just overall private school MVP, just from the knowledge that you have?
Ooh. I mean, we got
Mambo Tello.
Tello for St. Thomas Houston, sophomore, very good player.
Wow.
Also have what's his Preston Wood, Troop O'Neal,
O'Neal,
Is he that
4-star.
good of a soccer player?
From what he's told us, yes, but there's also another is Abram de Armas. We have heard he is very good as well. From the stats we've seen, two very good players. It's again, and I think TMI or one of those schools has a really good player. We just don't know a ton about specific players. We know like the mainly good players, like Mambo Tello, Troop O'Neal from PCA. Just players like that. Does that make sense? It's kind of confusing.
Yeah. No, trust me, it makes sense to me. That's funny. That's funny about Troop because he won our D1 Special Teams Player of the Year last year, and also I know Ryan is good friends with him. We talked to him at the state championship game. That's funny. I didn't know he was like that in soccer. I guess it makes sense since he's that good of a kicker, but it's funny he's like that in soccer.
Yeah, and Mambo Tello, I do think he will end up being the best. I mean, he was averaging again sophomore, averaging 3 goals a game. This kid has unlimited potential. I think he's going to go pro. Honest, from what I've seen. I've heard he has offers, but he can't disclose the offers, that kind of thing for soccer. It's confusing like that since he's a sophomore. But I bet he'll end up getting either going to the MLS or going to Europe. That's what
Oh my gosh. So I'm curious, what makes him stand out so much farther from everyone else? Like, I know obviously he's probably fast, he's probably got good footwork, but like, is there any certain thing that makes him better than everyone else around him?
Well, I would say consistency. When he gets in the box, he's putting it behind the keeper for a goal almost every time. And when you get to strikers, you got your guys who can make the flashy plays, but in the end, hit it over the crossbar to the side, and then it didn't really matter in the end. I really haven't seen, in the film I've seen of this kid, I haven't seen him really miss many shots.
I'm not going to show the misses, kid. Well, also, I will say a lot of soccer's goal scoring. Like Mbappe putting up 3 goals. He didn't score the goals. What does it even matter if he doesn't score, right? I mean, if you're averaging 3 goals a game, he goes to St. Thomas Houston. St. Thomas Houston. And they have they play some good teams. So he's scoring 3 goals on hard competition, which is why we're predicting him to be the best, unless there's a player we don't know about that just pops up, who's averaging 4 goals a game. Probably have to give it to that guy. But as of right now, Mambo Tello is the front runner.
That's interesting. I'll have to have y'all link me his film after we get off here. I'm actually very curious to watch him and follow him. Might have to pop out to a few soccer games because I'm pretty close to Houston in College Station. So I might have to pop down to a couple and have the podcast come cover it. I like to come meet up with you guys. But I am curious, a follow-up question. What teams do you think, and again, I'm putting you on the spot a little bit here, but what teams do you think might have the most stout defense in private school this year?
Definitely Central Catholic. Can I go? Let me just check their scores. I don't think that from what I've seen, I haven't seen them give up a goal this season.
Really?
I haven't heard all their scores like 3-0, 2-0. Like I literally haven't seen them give up a goal yet.
While you're looking it up, I'll pose you a trivia question, or I'll pose two. Do you know where Central Catholic is located?
San Antonio.
There we go. Do you know what their mascot is?
I have no idea.
The Buttons. Apparently, a button is a rattlesnake. No, wait, I get confused. I think a button is technically a rattlesnake, or it's referring to the rattles on the rattlesnake's tail. We had like a 30-minute argument about this on our podcast like 6 months ago. But there's some trivia. Central Catholic are the Buttons.
Yeah, so
Buttons. Huh. Like, so not of a jacket, but more of like a snake.
No, of like the snake. Like their tunnel for football when they run out, it's a giant snake, which I always thought the Buttons were just like, but yeah, it really confusing. But go on regarding their defense.
So the Village, again, like we said, very solid team. Catholic beat them 3-0. Soccer,
Really?
it's one of those, I don't know exactly what happened, but I assume it's probably like 1-0 at halftime. But then once you get the second goal in soccer, it's either gonna kill you or it's gonna motivate you. You know what I mean? Either you're gonna give another, like, you're gonna just like kind of give up and let them keep scoring, or you're just gonna keep battling and you're gonna come back. Because soccer, what they say, the most dangerous lead in soccer is 2-0. So because either you're gonna come back and you're gonna tie that game up, or you're gonna let them just put another 5 goals on you. You know? So I would say they have had one of the best defenses, not letting the Village score or letting Antonian score when they played them.
Is Antonian like that?
Oh, Antonian's pretty
Antonian has a very solid defense, and they even let Central Catholic score on them. And Antonian also has a very good striker, Zach Herner. Oh, he's also one of the front runners for MVP. I forgot about him. I think there was a Houston tournament 2 weeks ago. I think he put up like something like 3 games, 9 goals. Again,
Oh my gosh,
that's just crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I don't know if y'all are aware. Antonian and Central hate each other. They hate each other. Huge rivalry in San Antonio.
Really, I was not aware of that.
They're not very fond of each other.
Really, we were not aware of that, but we do know Colleyville Covenant, Dallas Covenant hate each other. So.
That's funny, man.
They
I
made
wasn't
that
aware of
very
that.
clear.
So.
With everyone too, from what I've seen, they telling us like telling us to pull up because they're gonna get a bunch of red cards. I'm like, as soccer players, we don't like to see red cards, especially what I heard. This is one thing I disrespect about the Village, or sorry, not the Village, Nolan Catholic. Why we ranked them kind of lower was because they played in the state championship. They were losing 4-0 to the Village, and they just decided to end their season out by trying to injure the Village players. They ended up proceeded to get 4 red cards, which I think is acceptable in soccer. So that's why we rank them low. They're very good, but then again, shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, that sounds like something. Yeah, that's not something you ever want to see in that regard. But yeah, that's really interesting. I think I've learned a lot more about private school soccer in the last probably 30, 40 minutes than I've had in the last 6 years of being involved in private school sports. That's really interesting, man.
Same with us. Like I said, we didn't know much either until about past 2 weeks.
Month or so, we've just been learning and learning and learning.
Yeah.
We didn't know much going into this.
Yeah, we were the same way, man. It's really cool to just observe and gain as much knowledge as possible. Like I said, I really respect what y'all are doing, and it's incredibly fun to watch y'all grow. And like I said, I'm serious. I want to probably come down and cover a soccer game at some point when I'm back in College Station. So I'd love to meet up with y'all and get that done somehow. One question I do want to pose before you get out of here: who's the best soccer player out of the 3 of y'all?
Oh, totally me. Totally Kenneth.
He destroyed us at camp. Oh my god.
Really?
Yes, Kenneth is
the guy.
Kenneth is just he's just annoying though. Kenneth's the kind of kid who you can't steal the ball from him because he's not fast, but he just can't. So big, you can't steal the ball from him.
I feel like that's kind of mean.
You're Kenneth. You're a center back.
I know, but they don't call me the brick for nothing when I play.
No one calls you that.
I call myself that. Anyways.
Man, that's awesome. Kenneth, what do you have to say about being designated the best soccer player on the Texas Private School Soccer crew?
Well, I feel greatly honored to receive this. I spent a lot of years playing soccer, I love the sport, and it feels honored. I feel very honored to be honored by these 2 individuals.
That was such a heartfelt statement. I really appreciate it. But guys, we've exhausted all the topics that I really wanted to cover. Is there anything else that y'all think needs to be said before we start to wrap this up?
We'll just give you our state championship predictions.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
D1, I'm predicting it's going to be Prestonwood and San Antonio Catholic or Central Catholic. Sorry. D2, I got to go with. Let me check one sec. Let me check rankings on D2. D2 is weird. I don't really know much, but I know that Legacy is pretty good. I would say I got to go Legacy, and I'm going to go Legacy, and I'm going to go Versati because Versati is also a really good D2 team.
I don't know, man. I think I'd pick DC with I don't
Yeah,
know if it'll focus with there we go with Ronaldo with Messi's third cousin.
Isn't DC D3 though?
Oh, sorry, they are D3. Sorry, they were always D2 whenever I played. I forgot about that.
It's understandable.
D3,
We forgive you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Really, all Saints and Liberty are all D2 now. You know, it's crazy. But D3, I'm gonna go Dallas Christian, and I'm gonna go Colleyville Covenant.
There we go. I love it.
Yep. All right.
So I will make you go back out of all those matchups. Who do you think wins state in those 3 games?
Gotta go Central Catholic.
I actually picked those 2 teams. I would have taken. I think Antonian might be able to make a run, or even St. Thomas somewhere. So one of those teams out there. But no disrespect to Andrew and his opinion.
Well, yeah, that's the fun thing is being able to have differing opinions in between the guys that host the podcast. So that's what makes the stuff fun. Kenneth, you have any opinion on who makes state in the 3 divisions?
Well, I definitely am a fan of Dallas Christian. They put a smile on my face whenever I see them. So I wish them the best of luck this year. Division 1, I'm pretty certain that St. Thomas is the best team in the country. So St. Thomas is going to win. And then D2 is D2, you know. I don't really care too much about them. No offense to D2.
I'm the one. Me and Lewis are the ones who actually do the D2 rankings. Kenneth does not even.
Really, I couldn't gather that by Kenneth's comments on D2. You really stumped me there.
I'm just here to, talk soccer,
I love it, Kenneth. Thank you. Kenneth, do you have any thoughts on D3?
Well,
or is it the same as D2?
I like Dallas Christian. They're my boys. They're my team. Ride or die.
Kenneth, what about the Colleyville Covenant, Dallas Covenant rivalry?
I think those are 2 schools with a great rivalry that I respect, but I don't think either team's going to win it all in the end.
Who do you think wins out of those 2? I'm guessing those 2 teams play in the regular season.
I'm a Dallas Covenant supporter here, though. I think they're going to win it all.
I rock with it. Covenant slide it. They're going to win it all. They're going to win that game.
Just that game.
Oh, okay, fair.
Sorry,
no, you're
sorry
good.
for the lack of specificity.
So no, I saw Andrew's face whenever you said that. I was like, wait, I've got to circle back to that. But no, that's funny. Yeah, Dallas Covenant. I picked Dallas Covenant to upset win a playoff game, and they let me down. So I'm holding a small grudge against Dallas Covenant. But hopefully they can make it up by winning a soccer game. But yeah, I think that's all we cover, or that's all we needed to cover regarding the state games. Guys, it was a pleasure having you on. Like I said, I'm incredibly excited to see what y'all can do with this. It's such a cool concept to me, and I wish y'all the best of luck in growing this. Y'all have any closing comments before we wrap this up?
No, just thank you for having us. It's been a blast. We were like, I'm not like when we first started this, we were like, the best thing that could happen is we get invited to be on this. I'm not even kidding. Like, we were ecstatic. So thank you so much. It means a lot.
Dude, that tickles me to death to hear that. That's so cool that y'all said that. And like I said, we love having you on. I would love to have y'all on again in the middle of the season, and then at the end of the season to discuss where private school soccer is at in those 2 states. But again, thank y'all so much for coming on. Lewis, any closing comments?
Thank you for having us on. I think this will help us grow a lot, and
I agree.
Expose ourselves more and more accurate rankings and information.
Definitely so. And that accuracy and that exposure will come as the season goes on. You'll get more information. You'll be able to make more accurate and more definitive rankings. And I'm excited to see y'all go through and do that. I will be definitely watching film of what's the international kid that y'all picked?
Oh, he's not international.
Oh, sorry.
Mambo Tello.
Mambo Tello.
I'll send you his ad.
Send me his ad. I would love to watch some film on the young man. But guys, like I said, thank y'all so much for coming on. We will see y'all probably at the halfway point of the soccer season to discuss a little further. But All that being said, this has been the Texas Private School Podcast. I've been 1/3 your hosting crew, Wes Tolleson. Andrew, Lewis, and Kenneth have fantastically been themselves. Make sure you go follow them at Texas Private School Soccer. Their links will be in the description. Make sure you go and follow all their socials. But we will see you in the next episode. See you later.
3, 2, 1.